Of course, now we're moving on to our conversation with Acting Corporal. Yes, we have Mr. Maurice Goodard with us this morning, and he is here to continue the conversation about the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. That's one, and also to speak about the programs that the police is doing to deal with young people and incorporate them into a better way of living. Good morning, Mr. Goodard.
Good morning, sir. It's nice to see you, and good morning, Tobago, and by extension, Trinidad and Tobago, and the world. God bless you all.
Right, as I said, you will, of course, earlier we're in December now, so on November the 25th would have been the first day of the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Of course, it's not locally, but it's an international thing, and we almost to the end. It's supposed to end on December the 10th. What has the feedback been like thus far in terms of the work that the police is doing in Tobago?
Well, I know we have a great team here, and they really work hard. They also do a lot of victim counseling. So, you know, even at the stage of where people lost loved ones to murder and stuff like that, they have a lot of counseling going on, programs going on, and you know, they don't only target adults, but also the youths.
Right. And not only adults, but also the youth. But what about the actual officers in handling situations like these that may naturally be sensitive ones?
Well, we have officers that are trained. We also have civilian staff. But besides that, we have continued programs or continued training that we do, and we have to thank God for people like ACP Scarborough that just went on vacation, and also Senior Soap Eli, who would have, which is sort of unprecedented. Since they came here, we had a lot of training, and gender-based violence training was one of those trainings that we did as a service. So a lot of people are trained in the area.
I don't have the statistics, but I'm assuming underreporting may be one of the challenges. But you tell me, what are some of the challenges that the TTPS would face in getting a grip on curbing gender-based violence in Tobago?
Well, underreporting is one, and in every society there are people who, for some reason, maybe they are ashamed, or maybe it's because it's family members, or maybe I don't want to get somebody in trouble, or somebody saying, hey, well, let's not do that, let's try to fix it before we go there. There's that. But there's also where people are afraid to come out. You know, and that's the one you have to worry about, the people who are afraid to come out. You know, and well, also the people who hides it. And that's it. You know, sometimes there are things happening and people are coming out and they're smiling in the public. But home, it's a different scenario. And, you know, sometimes you see people act angry and you say, well, why that person act so angry? But there are other things that are happening behind the scene that you're really not seeing.
I saw, was it recently on social media, a video circulating where a very uncomfortable video to watch. But there's a stigma that persons, I guess, if they report a particular situation within their relationship or within their family that is attached to the perpetrator. And the way our society is traditionally, even the perpetrator, instead of just, I guess, placing a charge or arresting the individual, you would want ultimately that individual to become a better citizen. What are some of the strategies that the TTPS would do to not just enforce, but treat with rehabilitation?
So, it's sad, eh? It's sad to say that most of what is happening. So let's take, for instance, there's some sort of violence at home. The police is really trained to investigate and to charge and take you before the court. Where I work in community policing, we are trained to have a conversation first, you know, and if it's a situation where we can't really do anything, sometimes we pass it on to the relevant authorities. But in this society, most of the times we are just trained to investigate and charge the perpetrator. And I think that even if you charge the perpetrator, there should be something in law, not just by groups, because you know there are many groups out there, but there should be something in law that says if you're a violent male or a violent female, or you were violent against a child, or a child was violent against an adult or another child, by law there must be something that says after your sentence, this is what you have to do before you can. So even if you're going to prison, or even if you have a fine, these are the steps you must take, maybe before you go back to your family, if you're going back there, or maybe to go back on your job. So it must be serious.
Are there enough legal tools in terms of like restraining orders and stuff currently in place? And I mean, enough is a broad term, but generally speaking, are we at a point where the protection is installed in a sufficient way for persons to feel safe in situations like these?
So, and I have to say that I'm glad that you asked that question, in the sense that the protection order is good, but there must be things that you have to follow before you get a protection order. And sometimes that's where sometimes the, I don't want to say, all right, so let me put it this way. You have to make you have to make a report. You have to show that, yes, this person really did this. You go to the justice of the peace or the clerk of the peace and you explain, and they might give you a temporary restraining order, or as we say, but it's a protection order. In this country, it's not restraining, it's protection. So they give you this protection order temporarily, and they ask that the other person come to court by summons. But the problem is there sometimes the person is right there, they hide in, or they try not to receive that summons. Or sometimes when they receive it, they just don't turn up. But the court, to me, is getting softer in the sense that they continue saying, give them an next summons. While I think that if it's serious, very serious, you take a warrant, arrest that person and bring them before the court, so they can answer or they can account. Because most times people make reports, and I've seen this both with male, female, and children, that they make reports, they go to get the temporary protection order. Maybe you get it, the time is running out. You are afraid, you want to have this person before the court, but there's always the obstacle, and then people say, well, the police not trying to serve the summons, the person working right there. But remember, the police might have 100 other summons and warrants. So when I come to look for that person not there, I move on to the next person, because remember, that's not the only person. But still, you have to remember, this person is still in fear.
In real time?
In real time. So I'm saying, if you have an email address, if you have a cell phone, it should be legally minded that once it's sent, then we should say that you receive it.
Totally understood. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, we're speaking with Acting Corporal Maurice Goodard, and we're looking at the 16 Days of Activism against gender-based violence. And just before I wrap up this part of the conversation, there are persons who would argue that enforcement is too late. What are some of the strategies that the TTPS is embarking on to even deal with preventing things from happening? I mean, ultimately, it's up to the individual and the communities and the homes, but naturally the police should have some strategies in place, I'm assuming.
Yes, and what we do is that, well, we have sporting activities, but that is set apart. But we go to the schools, we try to educate even the teachers, the students. We even do RI, because I myself do RI at the schools.
Right.
We do interventions where we talk to parents, we talk to students. There are other workshops that we hold, we have town meetings. So there are a lot of things that we do. But I have to say this though, that many times we blame organizations, but at the end of the day, all these organizations come from this society. You come from this society, I come from this society. Why are we different, or why do we think different? Each individual should understand that when they do wrong, or when they are going to do wrong, they should stop to think. Most of us, because we are selfish or selfish human beings, we tend to do things not thinking about anybody else, but I'm doing it to please me. So you do me something wrong, or I think you do me something wrong, or I want power over you, then I have to abuse you because I want to be comfortable, I want to be okay, I want you to serve my purpose. And that's what it is. Why do we always not think of the other?
Interesting, and I would segue into the other part of the conversation, which is focusing on the youth, right? I saw an article within the last 24 hours where Junior Benjamin was speaking about, I think he mentioned 12 students so far since this new police school arrangement have been arrested. And of course, the data would be presented soon in terms of the latest and the context in terms of Tobago. But there's an issue with conflict resolution, you know, and I'm not sure with the current situation where the police are housed at certain schools, that is an initiative by itself. But outside of that, is there or are there strategies or initiatives where the police specifically speak to conflict resolution? A man might say, well, show talk for you in school and you're arguing, because I mean, we may argue from time to time, but that argument might lead to a threat or might lead to an attack. What exactly is the TTPS doing in terms of conflict resolution, Mr. Goodard?
So we had a great thing going called the School Intervention Unit.
Right.
For some reason, and let me say this, I know why it's disbanded, but I think this is not the forum to speak about that, or I'm not the person to speak on it. But it now falls on community. In Tobago, community policing has maybe not even 10 officers.
Is a unit a specific unit, by the way?
There was a specific unit dealing with
the school.
The schools.
But the community policing unit is a particular department within the Tobago division?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. But in Tobago, we are woefully short. I myself am between, in community, 3 or 4 different things that I have to do. And other people the same. But we try our best to go to the schools and do this intervention where we invite the parents, the teachers, and the student. So we don't do it without the parents and without the student. But however, there are some parents that are adamant not to attend. And sometimes those are the children that are really giving you that kind of resistance. Now, so let me put it this way. I used to hear that there's no bad child. And that could be something to argue about. But parents are responsible for their children. We grew up in homes, and we know what it was like when something went wrong. We had to account, and sometimes we got a beating. Did it spoil me or spoil you?
Every action have a consequence.
That's right. And I'm saying this to parents. Don't beat your child when you're angry. And don't beat your child and not let your child know what's happening. But when you spank your child, speak to them so the child will understand. You understand? So be the child friend. Don't be their friend and enemy, but be their friend. Because the Bible says if a father doesn't discipline the child, he hates him. So if we as parents doesn't discipline those that we love, then we hate them, because at the end of the day, they're going to do what they want.
And I understand the social part of it. I'm just thinking about the role or how the officers are seen. So I remember, so in certain families, your parents would say, hey, I'll call the police for you. That was like a little threat to let you know, organize yourself, right? But beyond that, a police officer is seen as a particular person of authority, right? Are you seeing, just based on the work that the community policing unit is doing, a shift in terms of how young people or the at-risk young people view police officers? It's almost like, because I'm getting the impression like we do business about the police.
So it's like you just said. So we saw a seed saying, the police going to lock you up. If you do anything wrong, the police, so you always have the police as an enemy. So when you see the police, you say, where you going, boy? This man going. Because there's some tension.
Right.
But
even before.
Even before. So from the time you're a child, you're taught to have this tension. Because I've met children that say, me, I want nothing to the police because they're quick to lock you up. But then when they have interactions with me or other officers that I work with, they start to have a different view. And it's the same with society. Society wouldn't trust the police if at first the seed was planted. Then police gonna lock you up. Don't trust the police doing this. There must be somebody in authority you must trust. We don't want to trust pastors. We don't want to trust the police. We don't want to trust, not even firemen. We don't even want to trust the lawyers, the judges. I mean, yes. But as I said earlier, we all come from this society. Who made us who we are?
In terms of the other, I know you mentioned civilians who assist in terms of expertise within the TTPS to treat with issues. We spoke about gender-based violence earlier on, but other issues. How much is the buy-in at the moment in terms of this route towards curbing the violent activities amongst our youth?
So the buy-in in the police service is a good buy-in. It's the community to buy into it. And that is where you're getting most of the problems. So as I told you, sometimes you invite people to have the conversation and they just don't turn up. You know, sometimes they say, well, I have to work, which some people really have to go to work. But at the end of the day, some of them are doing nothing, but they're just not going to turn up. Because they think when they send their child to school, the teacher is responsible, whatever happens there, and it's not their responsibility. But as a parent, you are the first example of your child. And you are the first person to be responsible. So you should be responsible.
Yeah, and I know the football initiative was happening earlier this year. Is it still happening? Just speak to that approach, using sports and cultural activities to reach these communities.
So the last one we had was in September. We are supposed to have some other starting in the new year again. We took a break. I can't see.
Will they get too much licks or something?
No, well, no, it's not that, you know. Unfortunately, Mrs. Groom Matthew,
right.
What would have happened, she would have faced a little tragedy, and I wouldn't say it here.
Okay.
But if anyone who knows her could reach out and offer some sort of help and so on to her. The thing is that we live in a community where sometimes you don't plan for things and it happens. And she was one of the main driving force behind it. And because of that, you know, we sort of dressed back in order to make sure that we could help her with some of the things. But I'm sure as early as January, we're going to start doing something again. And I hope that it'll be much better and much more attended. I mean, we got good turnout this year, but we're hoping next year that it will be bigger.
Okay.
You know, I would also had conversations with people in Trinidad, and they want that same initiative to come to Trinidad. In fact, the IATF has a Heart and Mind program that does something a little similar, and they want to partner with us in Trinidad and also in Tobago. So I'm looking forward to good things where that is concerned.
Okay, and before we close this morning, in terms of persons getting involved in some of the initiatives that the community policing unit is doing, how can persons get involved? Is it that you're contacting nearest police station? Is there a specific group that can tap into the work that you all are doing? Just feel free to share.
So one of the things you can do is the police youth club that is closest to you. You can contact the leaders of that youth club, say what you want, and we could come out and assist in any venture that you have. And we were talking offset about the cooking. We could have things like that happen in the community, that you can show children that, you know, the police is a human like you and is your friend also.
Right.
Sometimes little things like these, help people to gain trust, help people to understand that we all the same people trying to work towards the same goal, and the same goal is having less crime. Because, I mean, let's be real, we mightn't have a society with zero crime, but we could have a society that has only 10% or less. You know, I mean, in the Tobago space, you know, I'm proud to say that we have a very high percentage in solve rate in our crimes. And that is because the society is still so close. But when you go elsewhere, it's not as close and it's more challenging. So imagine we're here in this society where people are close and it's still so challenging, much less when you're in another society that it is. So I will say that let us continue to keep that family approach. Sometimes people don't like it because people say we kind of clannish. But that helps us to solve things, help us to care for each other, help us, even if I'm not talking to you, but I will say, hey, something is happening to the neighbor there. I ain't going there because me and you really are no friend, but something happening there.
Yeah.
But you're looking at a society, nobody is even looking at you, even when they consider you a friend.
They ain't even open the window.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I mean, and you're absolutely right, and let's hope that we could reach back to that. I mean, we're making some inroads, and we have to celebrate the inroads, but of course there are some negativity still in this space that we need to iron out. But I want to thank you very much this morning, Acting Corporal Maurice Goodard, for giving us that update in terms of the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. And
the way you like sports.
Yeah. And yeah, as soon as they start back the football, we will be happy to take part.
Of
you
course,
know,
of course.
But thank you again for being with us this morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Have a police against the media game.
That's not a problem. Yeah. Well, we hope Brother B to play striker.
Who?
Brother B will play on top.
Well, I'm feeling good now because nobody ain't going to score.